You need to become so focused that it scares people, that they start looking at you and wondering if you're okay. They're concerned about you. Start getting phone calls from your mom, from your dad, from your brother, from your sister, from your family, from your friends, and they start asking you, is everything okay? I haven't heard from you in a long time. That's what it takes in this day and age. You see, there's so many distractions with social media, with TikTok, with Instagram. Everybody is trying to steal your attention. And if you don't be careful about your time, and if you're not careful with where your energy goes and where your attention goes, you're going to give up all of your dreams. You're going to give up all of the opportunity that is in front of you. You're going to watch life pass by, and you're going to see all of these people getting rich. If you're watching this video, you probably know that working a 9-to-5 job isn't the way. If you're watching this video, you probably know that we have a generational opportunity right here in front of us with AI tools, with the internet, with all of this and crazy amount of technology that's here right now. And you probably know that working a 9-to-5 job is just not the way to do it anymore. You see that the old system and how it used to work, and you know that that is not for you. But you don't want to do anything haram. You don't want to be doing OnlyFans. You don't want to be doing, you don't want to be selling your soul, which I get it, because I don't want to do that either. I don't want to sell my soul for some sort of garbage. But you do want to get rich. You do slightly believe that there are ways of making lots of money out there. But for some reason, you haven't been able to crack that code for yourself and be able to make it happen. I used to be that same exact way. You see, I went to college for computer science, and after going to school for a couple of years, I started to talk to a lot of different people that were 10, 20, 30, 40 years into their career, and I started to get a good picture of what the rest of my life was about to look like. And I realized pretty quickly that that's straight up just not what I want. I don't want to be, some sort of in some corporation for a very long time, but instead I want to be able to do my own life. I wanted to have a cool car, to tell you the truth. I wanted a hot girlfriend, a hot wife, and then I wanted to be able to travel, do whatever I want whenever I wanted. I wanted to be able to have a nice house, and I wanted to have all these things without all the costs that comes with it, without all the time that goes into it. I didn't mind working hard. I didn't mind putting my my heart and soul into things. I didn't mind having to work my ass off to get the things that I wanted. I just didn't want to do it in a broken system. I just didn't want to have to, not that I'm impatient, I saw that there was too many people that were making money that definitely didn't wait 30, 40 years. I was starting to see all these people that were making way more money in a shorter period of time. And again, not that money is everything. It's just how we measure value in this world that we live in. But I started to see that there were other people that were younger than me, that were dumber than me, that were just getting far more results. And I was kind of there thinking, all these people were scamming people. They were doing some sort of, garbage. They were there was more than meets the eye at all times. But there was this one guy I remember I used to watch his videos, and I'm not going to mention his name inside of this video, but I was watching his content. He was talking about ways of making money with e-commerce actually at the time. And I was watching this guy, and he would always talk about how much money he makes, but I was like, yeah, right, this is kind of garbage. This is BS, because the guy was pretty stupid, to tell you the truth. The guy didn't know that he thought Vermont was a country, and he just straight up did not understand life. I was like, this guy is very uneducated. He seems very dumb, but he just bought a Lamborghini. He just has this nice house on the beach, and I just straight up thought it was bullshit. I kept watching the videos to see if there was some sort of epiphany, some sort of actual proof that he was a scammer, and that's what I was looking for. Until one day I was watching one of his videos, and I wanted to believe that this guy was legit, but I couldn't wrap my head around it. But I was watching this presentation. He had all these spelling errors in the video. He had 20 spelling errors, and then he opened up his bank account. I was like, okay, cool. We're gonna see this bullshit screenshot. And he opened up his bank account, and there inside of it he had $3 million. And he showed his sales, and he made $10 million that year. And I thought, okay, yeah, right. But then he refreshed the page. He's like, this is like as much proof as I can possibly give you. I'll even call my bank. Like, he called the bank and was like, this is how much money he has in his account. And I realized right then and there that I was a idiot. I was an effing idiot. I was stupid. I was trying to find every reason to prove why this guy is not legit. And in that time, I could have been just doing what the fuck this guy said in his videos. I could have just followed the things that he talked about in these videos. And instead, I was trying to find every reason why this guy wasn't legit. And that moment, I realized that it was validated. I did. Like, I really wanted to make money, and I wanted it to work, and I wanted it to be right, but I was very scared. I was scared of putting all my money into something and losing all of it, and then having all my friends and all my family be like, I told you so, Devin. You're a dumbass. You should go to school and get a degree and go slave your life away and go through that grind. But when I saw that this guy was actually making money, I realized that it was like legit. You could actually do this. It was actually possible. And so what did I do? I started believing that Vermont was a country as well. I started to delete spelling errors and everything that I did. I decided to do what that guy did. I started actually getting into e-commerce. I started ordering some products. I ended up not going that route entirely. So I didn't follow everything that this guy said. You know, I kind of breaking my own rules and my own advice that I teach you guys inside these videos. But that being said, I ended up trying a bunch of different businesses out. I went all in, and I ended up, I tried a little bit of e-com. I did Amazon and I did Shopify, but then I did some Instagram pages, and then I really ended up settling on doing YouTube channels. So I started making different YouTube channels. I started making videos like I am right now, talking about, I knew some knowledge on real estate, so I started talking about real estate. And then I was making all these videos and they just weren't really getting any views. And then I was like, I came across these channels that were getting like loads and loads of views, and I knew that they were making money. I did the math on how much money they were making, and they were making shitloads of money. So I ended up doing what they were doing, kind of following the formula that they had created. And from there, I ended up going and making $42,000 in a single month. I ended up dropping out of college. I ended up buying my dream car. I ended up traveling the world. I ended up making like tons and tons of friends along the way. And my life changed forever after that moment. You see, I went from like one of the most skeptical people that was out there to, all right, how do we make this happen? How do we build this business? How do we get this going? And what followed was a season of locking the fuck in and focusing. You see, a lot of people, they see that there's all these different ways of building a business and whatnot, and then they get what I call shiny toilet syndrome. They jump around from the different businesses over and over and over again, and then they just completely rob themselves of actual growth and actually getting results. And so what I will tell you is this is what you need to do. I'm going to give you guys the blueprint inside of here so that way you guys can follow suit like I did. So let me put the camera right here. So what I ended up doing and what I realized was that in order to be able to build something that's going to actually make some money, you know, like this guy was making like 300 grand a month, and I thought it was absolutely nuts. But what you need to do is you need to focus. You need to work on the same thing every single day. You need to be working on one thing, and just, as boring as this sounds, just doing that thing every single day. And that's where at first I started to have a lot of resistance, because every time I would start to kind of build something, I would go play Roblox, or I'd play Minecraft, or I'd go play Call of Duty, or I'd kind of F off on my Xbox. But what you have to realize is that all those things are a distraction, and you have to eliminate those things. And so what it requires is you need to physically remove those things from existence. One of the tricks that I found is take the cable for your television, like the HDMI cable, and literally put it in a different part of the house. So what I would do is I would go find like, you know, some drawer at some random place in my house, or I would go to the neighbor's house and I would tell them, hey, can you please take this? You know, what I would do is I would put it into like some random closet. So if I wanted to watch TV or if I wanted to play Xbox, I literally had to go to like the other side of the house, and I'd go pull this thing out, and then I'd go plug it in. And then once I was done, I would unplug it and then go put it back. And it was so inconvenient. So eventually I found a certain point then I would start scrolling on my phone. So then I had to delete all the different social media apps. So I ended up deleting all of the apps. There wasn't TikTok at the time, but I deleted YouTube off my phone. I was using Instagram, so I deleted Instagram. And so I basically had no social medias on my phone. So I literally had to focus. I had to lock in. I had to literally just focus all day on building a business. So the actor Jim Carrey, he actually, what he'll do is he'll have writing days. And so in the first start of his days, he makes it so he can't do anything other than write. And if he doesn't write, then he just has to literally sit there and do nothing. And so that's what I ended up doing and adopting as my strategy. Is I would have, during the day until I got everything done, I wasn't allowed to do anything. I literally had to either work or just sit there in complete silence and complete boredom. And you see, a lot of times we have so much access to dopamine, and because we have so much access to dopamine, we ended up just kind of like effing ourselves over, because there's just so many distractions, and we end up becoming as dumb as a rock, basically, because we are so enamored by all of these things online. There's so many crazy videos. You literally go on Twitter, you see Elon Musk with a flamethrower, you see some sort of crazy criminal thing, and then literally after 30 minutes you're fried. Your brain is completely fried. And so what you have to do is you have to shut all that stuff out, and you just have to remove it from your environment entirely, because your environment controls everything about you. If you are surrounded by a bunch of people that are smoking weed all day and just doing nothing with their lives, the likelihood of you smoking weed all day and doing nothing with your life is extremely high. And so what you need to do is you need to remove all of that from your environment. You need to be like meticulous as can be about your environment and what's in it. So now I always make sure that in my environment, it's literally just my laptop, maybe some books on, books on business or knowledge or psychology. And my environment is super programmed to literally just make me work all day. And so now that I've kind of made a lot more money, I allow myself to kind of F off a little bit, as in like I'll play chess, and that's literally it. That's my distraction. So it's like I'm literally like learning and working my brain and my problem solving skills if I am doing nothing. And so if I'm wasting time, it's a productive waste of time. So I recommend picking up, habits and hobbies of whatever it is that you're doing, is like building a business and just locking in on that and just having like a business only diet. So you need to have a dopamine detox. You need to remove everything from your life. As gay as this may sound, I would say like go into a monk mode. You need to shut everything off. You need to delete all the apps. You need to put your phone in a different room. You just need to lock in. You need to remove all the distractions and focus on just purely building a business. If you can't watch the rest of this video, then I don't have anything for you. You're probably not able to be somebody that's successful because your brain's already like out in Saturn and Jupiter. So you need to keep watching, and you need to allow yourself to focus. You need to be able to do one thing for a long time. And it should get so much so to the point where people are worried about you. They're concerned about you. They're calling you, they're texting you, and they're saying like, hey, what happened? Where are you? And that is where you need to be. That's what made me successful, was getting so locked in that literally everybody was concerned about me. Everybody was like, Devin, is everything okay? And that's because I was just literally so focused on achieving my goals. And so next thing that you want to do is, now that you've kind of made it so all you really can do is work, you need to find ways of developing leverage. So there's four different types of leverage. You see, there is code leverage, there's media leverage, there's labor leverage, and there's capital leverage. And so the leverages that I recommend in the modern world, if you don't have a lot of money, because obviously capital leverage is probably out the window for most of you guys. If you don't have money, then you need to focus on media leverage and then labor leverage if you can. It does require some money to have labor leverage, but there are ways around that. And then you can always get code leverage, but then that usually requires a specialized skill. So my advice for you is to find ways of making content or doing something with social media now these days, because that is by far one of the best ways of making money in the modern world. I'll set this up over here so we can talk to you guys some more. Do you guys like the kind of more casualness of these videos? I try to keep them a little bit more unedited on this channel. On the main channel, I'd have it like way more established and set up. And these videos, I try to keep it a lot more raw with you guys, where I'm literally just like walking around my messy ass Airbnb, middle of working. I was like, you know what? I want to make a video and talk to you guys. So drop it down in the comments down below. What do you guys think of the content structure? in these videos. I'm super curious because, you know, I want to make the best experience for you guys. I wish somebody made these videos for me when I was getting started, where they would literally just show you behind the scenes of what they're doing. They would literally just talk to you in like a casual manner, because I think everybody is they're so scripted, or just they're way too articulate that it just doesn't even like comprehend. They speak so precisely and accurate that it's hard to understand. And so let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of these types of videos. I love to get in your guys' comments, and I read every single one of them as much as I can for right now. But yeah, so the next thing that you need to do, so with the different levels of leverage, I recommend trying to build labor leverage and media leverage. And I'll talk about ways of getting labor leverage so people can work for you and do all the work for you without you having to work so hard, and without you having to pay them, at least at the beginning. And then you can kind of get it to where, you know, the thing that you're doing can make money for you, or like pay for them for you. So media leverage, like right now there's so many ways of doing social media. There is all these different, there's short form content, there's long form content, you know, there's YouTube, there's Instagram, there's TikTok, there's so many things, there's so many ways of doing this, that I think it gets kind of scary that there's so much to do that you just don't know where to get started. And so when there's too many options, there's this saying called there's a cognitive bias, where if we have too many options, we end up actually not making any decisions whatsoever, and we end up getting stuck. And so my biggest recommendation is just picking one thing. If you guys already have a business that you're already getting going, just stick with that thing. Like straight up, I'm not trying to sell you guys anything in any of these videos. I'm just telling you straight up how I would do it. This is my community service. I want to make sure that you guys are getting rich. I'm cool if you guys never buy any of my stuff and get rich from just watching my content, because I just love making these videos, and I love seeing the comments, and I love seeing the feedback that I get from every little thing that I do. So with that being said, just do whatever it is that you're doing. My recommendation, build a faceless YouTube channel. But if you're not doing that already, just if you have a business you're already doing, just do that thing. Focus in on that. Delete all social media. There's Chrome extensions. It's called a killed news feed for Facebook. I know there's one for YouTube. I forget the name of the one for YouTube. Just make it so literally nothing can show up on your homepage. Make it so nothing can show up on Facebook. And so that way, when you go on your computer, it's literally just work mode. Turn off all the notifications, do not disturb. Like, you need to go into a season of do not disturb. Like, everybody should have to double text you just to get a text through or hit that notify anyway. And they know that they're bugging you. And if anything, you're just like, your phone's locked away in the other room. What I recommend is just tell everybody that you're going into the season. And if anybody doesn't support it, they're like, no, you need to have access. Like, I need to be able to have access to you. I need to talk to you. I will tell you straight up, any actual emergency, like, just call 911. Like, if there's an actual emergency, like someone's getting hurt or injured, like, I'm not going to be able to help you as fast as 911 is. Go do that. And so instead, tell people that, you know, you're in a season of locking in, and maybe you can have ways of like people that you trust that can get access to you. Maybe it's your wife, or maybe you can have one of your friends that can kind of filter all your messages and be your assistant, but you just need to lock in. And so when it comes to labor leverage, what you need to do for labor leverage is you can literally just go onto different websites like Upwork or like Fiverr. I don't really recommend Fiverr as much, but you can go on a website like Upwork. And if you're building a YouTube channel, you can literally find people to write scripts for you, to do the voiceovers for you, to do the video editing for you. And they can have a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years of experience, and they'll work for you for a pretty low fee. So you can either take the money that you have from your current job and then put it towards this, or you can maybe pick up a job at like doing DoorDash or doing Uber Eats and doing Uber. This isn't for the rest of your life, and you're gonna be driving people around for the rest of your life, but just for something for startup capital. My favorite people are Uber drivers. Every time I get into an Uber, I always love hearing about the different businesses that they're starting and what they're doing with the money. Like, I've heard so many stories of Uber drivers that are like taking all the money and donating it to charity, to using it as startup capital for their business, or as a networking platform to meet a shit ton of people to help them. All right, we knocked the camera off our makeshift tripod here, but they're using Uber as like a networking tool. They're meeting so many different people through just doing Uber, and my recommendation is just, who cares what people think of you? You're in a season of trying to build yourself. You're trying to get rich. You're trying to build your dream life. And so focus on you. Don't care about what others think of you. Just focus on who it is that you are and who you are becoming, and everything else is just noise. You just need to lock in on this life that you're trying to become. So Now that you got you have an income of sorts, even if it means you have to go get a job at McDonald's or something like that for like a month or two, this is literally just to have some money to put into your thing. So that way you can get other people that are way more experienced to work for you. So if you're whatever business that you're doing, I recommend just hiring people. And then if you can, hire consultants or mentors. One of the biggest mistakes that I made when I was getting started was I was trying to do everything myself. I was trying to find ways of building a business from all these blogs and all these different ways online. Instead, just lock in, just focus on finding somebody else that already has done what you're trying to do, and just see how you can pay them to literally tell you exactly what you need to do. And you don't always have to pay financially. Sometimes you can just pay by being somebody who is a good student. And if here would be my trick. There's two different ways of doing this. You can go find the person that's already proven online. Maybe you like their stuff, you watch their content. You're probably gonna have to pay a price, to get those people to mentor you. But if you find somebody that's like a small person, like they probably have less than 1,000 followers on social media, nobody really knows who they are, and they have some sort of small business, those are the best people to talk to and to make friends with. There's probably a lot of those people at your gym. There's probably a lot of those people that you go to their stores or different places. Like, go to different small businesses and just meet some of these different people and have them mentor you, have them help you out. My first mentor was actually in real estate. He had a real estate brokerage. He had like no followers on social media, out in the middle of nowhere in Idaho, and he was making $300,000 a month and literally showed me his business. He showed me the back end of everything. What I did is I offered to help him find more real estate deals. I didn't want to become a real estate agent, but I offered to help him find some deals, so that way he was able to make more money with his money. And he ended up doing he flipped a few houses with me. We got to use his money to flip a few houses, and I literally got to experience right next to him, side by side, talking to him every single week, help like flipping these houses together. And I got the experience of flipping a house through working with this guy. That experience is worth millions of dollars, and I was able to get that for free because I just looked into a local Facebook group. I asked for different people that were looking for real estate deals. This guy took action on it, and I told him I'd help him find some, and I offered value to somebody that was out there. The next thing is, because these guys are so small, you can probably research something and congratulate them on some of their accolades or something that they've done, because most people don't really notice a lot of the success that these people have when they're like a small business owner. But there's a lot of people that have made like $5 million, $10 million that you can talk to very easily. You can go to these different meetups, these different groups. If you look up like meetup.com, you can go find a bunch of different people or a bunch of different groups to go to. Even to this day, I'll look up some of those. If I'm in a new city or in a new place and I'm going to be there for a little bit and I want to make some friends, I'll go try to find some business meetups. I'll see if there's any business conferences, and I'll go meet people. And I'm just trying to be a student. I'm trying to ask as many questions as possible. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to take what I hear, and I try to apply it as fast as humanly possible. And that's the trick, is whatever information that you get, like whatever you guys get out of this video, just run with it. Go do it immediately. Take action on it now. Don't wait till next week. Don't wait till tomorrow. Do it today. Do it now and go apply it. Give us feedback in the comments on what happens. Go on Meetup, go find some events, put them on your calendar, and then tell me about it down in the comments below. Which groups that you guys are going to go to and be a part of. Every city has something, even if you're in some small town in the middle of nowhere. There are things going on that are probably nearby that you can go do. And so if you can find somebody that can just literally help, because most of success is not so much like the strategies or the tactics. More of it's just actually who you are as a person. More of it's like who you are mentally as a person, and your resilience and your ability to keep showing up, and how you deal with failure and how you view the world. And so you need help with that. If it's just you against the world, good freaking luck. Like, it's going to be really difficult. But if you're constantly surrounded by people that have good mindsets, like you're constantly watching my videos, you're constantly watching successful people online, and you're just listening to their thoughts and taking their thoughts and ideas and making them your own. And especially if you're talking to people in blood, like in real life, that have had success, they're going to help shape your mind into the direction that it worked best for them. And because they're so convicted in their beliefs and what they know, it's probably going to be like the best advice, and they're gonna tell you exactly what they did. Because if you talk to somebody that's just made like too much money, it's not going to be relatable to you. But if you talk to the person that just started making $10,000 a month, just started making $50,000 a month, it's going to be way more realistic and relatable to you. If you talk to somebody that's been doing it for 50 years, they can kind of give you some advice, but it's going to be hard to comprehend and understand because they've just put so many years into it and they're just not so relatable to you. So you want to find other people that are just like you. And then the next thing for you guys is just understanding your motivation. Like I was talking about, of locking in your environment and keeping it clean and keeping it as set up for success as possible. What you need to realize is that there are different levels of motivation, and that your why and your motivation levels are what drives your actions. And so if you're not rich right now, it's probably just because you don't value it, which is weird to say. I know you're probably thinking, Devin, what do you mean I don't value getting rich? Well, I didn't either. And it's kind of weird because I thought I did. And I was like, I thought I wanted to do all these things, but usually most of us are motivated by very low vibrational motivation. Like money motivation is like the lowest form of motivation. So most of us, we just want to like make money. And now again, at the beginning, most of you guys watching this video are actually probably more value motivated. So you guys are motivated by your values, which is why, you haven't started doing like OnlyFans management yet or anything like that. But most people in this world are money motivated, and that's where we hear a lot of these bad stories about how money changes people and it makes people ugly and it makes people do stupid stuff. It's because most people are willing to do whatever it takes to make more money and to make money, and so their actions are derived by money, and it's very obvious. That's where you see greedy behavior. That's where you see weird people have like weird money beliefs, and you want to stay away from that as much as possible. It's okay to have it sometimes, but it's a very low vibrational motivation. And it's just like you're doing everything for the sake of money. And that's where you see, again, people do weird stuff. The next form of motivation is values motivation. Again, this isn't like a high motivator, but this is how most people are motivated. So values driven motivation is you're doing things based off of what you value. So you usually value other people's opinions on you. You usually value being a good person. You usually value hard work. If you value, YOLO, you only live once, whatever it is, that's how most people usually derives like their actions and the way that they're taking things and how they make decisions. And this is where you start doing things for other people and you start doing things for reasons that aren't your own. And so it will be a little bit better of a motivation than money motivation, but then that's usually why most people stay trapped in the 9-to-5. And then they get comfortable there, and then they have golden handcuffs. They're getting paid really well, but they're not getting paid enough to go do something else, and it's really challenging to go do something else. And so most people are value motivation, which then ends up into that whole quote of where like most men live lives of quiet desperation. That quote is like referencing a lot of those people because their behaviors are so driven based off of what other people want for them. So then the second highest level of motivation is competence motivation. So this is where it gets a little bit better. And when people have worked in their career for like 20 years, this is where you start to kind of see this type of motivation, where you start to get competent at things and you start to get good at things. And because you start to get good at things, that starts to make you want to do it more. It's like when you learn something new, when you just watch this video, you're going to be really fired up to go build your business. Now, that being said, there's going to be times when you suck at things, and that's where this one kind of falls short, is when you are purely just competence motivation. Anytime that you run into something that's hard or difficult, it makes it so you don't really want to like keep doing it, and it kills your motivation. And this is where you hear like the most garbage advice online of how you need to do something that you're passionate about to make money. It's because most people don't really have like strong enough reasons of motivation. And so usually they're just competence motivated, and that's what's worked for them, which it works. It's a good style of motivation. It's just, again, it's going to get you so far, and your ego kind of really runs the show. And so again, anytime you run into difficulty, you're just kind of like shooting yourself in the foot ultimately. And so the best form of motivation that's out there is purpose driven motivation. And so it's having like a really strong purpose, is when you have a cause greater than you. If you've ever listened to any sort of Drake song when he was on the come up, he was always talking about doing it for his people, doing it for his city, doing it for the six. He's talking about Toronto all the times. And that's because he always casted everything onto a purpose that was bigger than him, just purely getting rich. He would talk about him getting rich and whatnot, and how that changed his life and whatnot. But that being said, all of his music was directed towards like putting his city on the map and making it so Toronto was a cool place, and it made it so his songs vibrated so much with this group of people that lived in this certain place that everybody blasted his music that was from that place, and then they made them proud of where they lived. And because now that they were proud of where they lived, they elevated Drake's status up with it until, you know, he was able to then kind of pursue greater and greater purposes, which came into legacy driven purpose and some of these other different motivations. And so this is the same with any sort of Olympic team, with any sort of athletes, with any CEO that you see that's just making like loads and loads of money, or entrepreneur or business owner, is everybody's usually driven towards purpose. They have a higher cause that they're doing things. And so this is where you start doing things that you don't really want to do, but you're doing it anyways because you value, like, because you have a purpose, because you have a reason why that you're doing this that is greater than you, and you are just a small pawn in the, or like a piece on the chessboard of this entire orchestra. And you know that the work that you do matters towards building that thing. And you have to be careful of just purely putting it onto only family, because we have a little bit of a selfish desire. And so if you have it for like, yeah, you want to take care of your family, if you want to be able to take care of your loved ones, you have to relate it to your own, like you have to kind of like appease your ego in a way until you can kind of completely remove that ego. You have to appease your ego into like allowing yourself, I'm going to make my family happy so that way I can not worry. So I can not be concerned about my family, and I can make sure that the loved ones that I have in my life are taken care of. And so I'm going to do these things so that way I selfishly am able to have peace, and I'm able to have joy and freedom, and to spend the moments with my kids and my family and my loved ones as much as humanly possible. And you have to link it to like a selfish reason. You have to link it to like a purpose that's bigger than you, selfishly defined by yourself. Okay, does that make sense? So that's the exercise for this video. I gave you a few different exercises, but you need to figure out what's your purpose. What's your why? Why are you doing this? What is this? Why is this so important to you? And why is it personalized to you over anybody else? And how does this make you driven? Now, this isn't something that just happens immediately right now. And you're probably led by some of these other different motivation styles that I talked about inside of this video. And so what you need to do is just focus on those other motivation styles for right now. And then over time, meditate on this, journal on it, in the shower, think about this. And, you know, just allow this to kind of reminisce in your mind, like just kind of sit there and think about this regularly. Is what is like the things personalized to you that gives you a purpose and gives you a meaning and gives you like a reason greater than yourself for why you're doing things. And some of these things you just kind of create over time. Like for me now, I have a lot of employees working for me, and I mean a lot compared to none, compared to zero. I have like 30 people that work for me, and I take ownership of these people's like livelihoods. I take ownership of their ability to accomplish their own purposes, their own dreams, their own ambitions, and their own goals. And then same with the people watching this video, like you watching this video. I know that you have your goals and your ambitions and your dreams. And so I don't want to be in the way, I don't want to be effing off and screwing around and getting in the way of you being able to achieve your thing. And so I need to elevate myself, and I need to work, and I need to do the things that allow for everybody to do their things. And I also want to, I have driving factors that are greater than me that makes me want to deep down inside make these videos. Like part of me making these videos is to think like my kids at one day are going to be watching these videos. My kids one day are going to be like, oh, I wonder what dad was doing when he was in his 20s and what he thought about and the way that he thought and the way that the things that he was doing. And so I make these videos for that. And I make these videos also because I want to build a legacy. I want to have you watching this video go make so much money that you come to me one day and thanking me, Devin, you helped me make $1 million. Devin, you helped me make $50 million. That is what I want. I want to plant all these seeds because I know that down the road, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years from now, it's going to sprout into some beautiful oak trees. I don't want like little pine trees. I want oak trees. I want big, strong, like generational wealth-sized oak trees that are just able to stand because of all these seeds that I'm planting now at this day and age. And I've seen already a lot of the payoffs, so I have a little bit of that competency of motivation where I've just recorded so many videos and I watch myself over and over again to ask myself, how can I do this better? But I do this for a greater cause. And so if you want to get laser focused, so focused that people are concerned about you and they're like, what happened to you? You need to focus on your why. Simon Sinek says everything starts with why. And so if you can figure out what your why is and what your purpose is, everything else becomes easy. All the work becomes easy. For me to sit here and record 30-minute long, 10-minute long, hour-long videos is easy because I have a strong reason. Because I want to make these for you. I want you to change your life watching these videos. And I care deeply about that because I know that if I just plant a lot of seeds, everything's going to come from it. And so you need that for yourself as well. Like, how can you get it to where you are day in, day out, so dangerous, so sharp, so on point, showing up every single day, getting up early, you're doing all these things because you know that it's for a greater cause and for a better benefit than just you selfishly. And then from then, you will get reimbursed with any dollar amount that you can even put your imagination on. You will get paid whatever it is that you want in this life. You will have whatever life that it is that you so desire because you have planted so many seeds, because you have given so much of yourself to the world, and your fingerprint is a part of the world and a part of the DNA of the world that we live in. That everything unlocks and just naturally comes to you because you've done your service, you've done your deed, and you've given yourself to these things. That's how you lock in for 90 days, for 6 months, for a year, and you are able to live this completely different life that people start to look at you and they can't recognize you anymore. You look at your iPhone photos library and you can't even recognize yourself in your old pictures that you used to have of yourself because you've just changed so much. And become this person that you know deep down inside that you are because you're so led by purpose. You're so led by your vision and your why and this person that you know that you're capable of becoming. And so I have no idea how long this video is, but I want to drive home the point that if you can just lock in, and if you can just lock in for 30 days for right now, then you can start building a habit. They say it takes, 21 days to build a habit. So if you can just lock in for 3 weeks, where you're just 3 weeks straight, you're just focusing on putting in, 30 minutes, an hour a day into whatever it is that you're trying to build and just consistently doing it. I've been doing that with chess. I've been playing it like every single day for an hour. Sometimes I'll even play it for like 4 hours. Just depends on what's going on that day. And now it's become a habit. It's become I just think about chess all the time and I get better at it. Same with these videos. I have made 100 and something videos on this channel now over the past year, and it's just become a habit. I just literally will sit there doing whatever, and I think about making videos. I will literally sit there and think about what other videos I can make, and I'm just constantly thinking of ideas. Same with going to some of the different parts of ideation with coming up with different video ideas for my faceless channels. I spend a couple hours every single week doing this, and I've been doing that for 7-8 years now. So it's compounded to thousands of hours, 10,000 hours plus into just ideation of video ideas and video strategies. And they say, it takes 10,000 hours to get good at something. I believe that it takes 10,000 hours to get started. And that's where everything gets started from, is after you put the 10,000 hours into something. And so you gotta, whatever it is that you're doing, you just need to just put in the hours. A common thread and a common theme that I see with a lot of people that are getting started is that they think they can just put in a couple hours into something and then the result just comes. You see, anything good comes from discipline. Anything good comes from hard work. And if you can work hard now instead of, work over the span of 40 years and just live, what's harder, do you think, to lock the fuck in for 6 months, to lock in for a year of just grinding your face off, or do you think it's harder to work over the span of 40 years, 40 hours a week for somebody else, and to just kind of give up whatever it's to appease others and to live other people's lives? It's always easier to just do it now, to do the hard work now. Even though, this sucks. It's breaking that pattern. It's breaking that habit. And you have to realize that it's just a biological process ultimately that works against you. And it's just your human the human body wants to stay comfortable. And so what happens is if you feel like work is hard to make, and progress is hard to make, and doing something different is hard to make, it's just because your brain and body are so addicted to these chemicals, these neurochemicals that are firing inside of your body, that you get comfortable with feeling like shit. Like, it feels good. It feels better to feel like shit than it does to feel good. And this is how you see people that are like 500 pounds overweight. This is how you see people that literally just have insane video game addictions where they do nothing with their lives. This is how you see people that are addicted to working for somebody else and working some corporate job for their entire lives, is because they're addicted to the neurochemical reactions. You see, I used to have a very strong nicotine addiction where I would literally have one of those little pacifiers, and I would like suck on it all day, and it would blow smoke out. I would do that for all day, day in, out, for, it was like a few years, actually, a couple years. And it was all I could think about. It was literally all I would do. And I was just addicted to the feeling of, like, even though, like, I remember I would sit there in the shower, just coughing up, like, so much mucus and all this disgusting, nasty stuff out of my nose and my throat. But it's like I still did it every single day. And it was like my brain was so wired to harming itself. And until one day I was like, this is disgusting. Like, I am literally, I feel like killing myself right now by allowing myself to keep doing this. And so I realized that I need to stop doing this. I need to remove this entirely from my ability. And what I started doing actually is I started smoking cigars instead of doing that, because at least with a cigar, it's like I had to go outside, I had to go do something. They were expensive. They were like $50 each. I wouldn't buy the cheap ones. You know, it's a trick. Don't let yourself buy the cheap ones. So I'd only ever be able to buy the expensive ones. It was so inconvenient. I always had to spend like $500 to get them, because I would buy a box, or if I bought one or two, then I just had to go to the store more to buy them. And then I did that for a long time, and then eventually I just kept traveling to so many different places. It was a pain in the ass to smoke cigars anymore, so I just gave it up. I'll still smoke a cigar here and there, and at least it's elegant, and at least you look better. But for the longest time, I literally I gave up. So, like, I was feeling like shit, and I kept feeding into feeling like shit. And I can tell you straight up, I was just addicted to that feeling. My body was addicted to feeling like shit. And so I had to realize that I had to take control of myself. I had to realize that I was being an idiot, and that I had to change my process. Or I needed to change my life and the way that I was doing things. And so that same exact thing is with your current life. You're addicted to how you feel. You're addicted to your environment. Wherever you're doing right now, you've probably done the same exact thing like 1,000 times. And so you need to, like, if you watch a lot of these videos, you probably watched thousands of them. So you need to do things to break those patterns and to break those habits. And having a strong why and a strong purpose will call you towards that. It will carry you towards that. And it'll help rise above any of this, like, garbage BS, like, addictions or behaviors that you have that lock you into this, like, psychology that you have that's kept you stuck over all these years. And so you have to break the habit of being yourself. And it's a little counterintuitive, and what I will tell you is it's just a lot of reps. It's a lot of listening to the right advice, to putting yourself in the right environment, and you'll start to see little behavioral changes. Like I told you about this vaping addiction that I had, but also it's like you'll start to see. You'll go to the store and you'll start to talk differently to the person, to the cashier. You'll be on a walk outside and you'll start to notice different things in the day. You'll see that the sky's blue. You'll start to notice the beauty in, like, the small things. You'll start to have a smile more. Your eyes will have more color. You see more color in the world. And that is how you know that you are going towards a life that is more vibrant, more full, more abundant, more all things are possible, and more opportunistic. And so then when you're in that state more consistently, it's so easy to just lock in and just focus and to do the things. Now, what I will tell you is, as soon as you start making money, because you will make money if you literally do what I tell you in these videos, and you just lock in and listen to us every single day. But what'll start happening is when you make money, your ego starts to get really fat, and it starts to distract you, and it starts to tell you that, oh, it's okay if we go F off and we screw around again because we've already had some success. You got to be careful going down that path, because I've had that happen multiple times. When I got to 10 grand a month, when I got to $30,000 a month, it was like, oh, I don't need to work harder. When I got to 100 grand a month, oh, I don't need to work harder. But what I'll tell you is those periods when I started making some money and I allowed my beliefs to dictate my actions, that's when I got stuck. That's when I started to go back down to this hole of having more bad days. And so what you need to do is instead just as you start to level up and get the results, just see these as signs that you're doing the right thing, more so than okay, hey, it's okay, we can get comfortable now. No, this is just, it's a sign. This is showing that we are able to make progress and we are growing, and that the hard work that we are putting in is starting to pay off. But it does not mean that we should stop doing what we are doing. That does not mean that we should enjoy, like, that we should get too far away from everything that's here right in front of us, and instead we should keep focusing on the bigger. We should keep focusing on growing. We should keep focusing on doing more, because our purpose is so large. And if you find yourself getting comfortable, you probably just need to change your purpose. You need a different purpose for your motivation, because you probably maybe accomplished where you are now. And so you need to change that motivation, that purpose, and having a bigger purpose and a bigger reason and a bigger cause, and then everything else will unlock. It'll get way easier for you, my friend. And so once you get to this point where people are texting you and they're concerned and they're like, where have you been? That's how you know that change is happening. That's how you know that your life is getting better. That's how you know that you're getting to the point where you are leveling up and you're becoming the person that you want to become. So that's what I got. Subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a comment. Tell me what you guys are doing after this video. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.